नमो अरिहंताणम, नमो सिद्धाणम, नमो आयरियाणम, नमो उवज्झायाणम, नमो लोए सवसाहुणम, ऐसो पंच नमो यारो सव पावपणाशणो मंगलाणम च सव्वेसिम पढ़मम होवै मंगलम। जय जिनेन बच्चों। आई थिंक अरहम इज ऑल्सो ज्वाइनिंग, सो परफेक्ट टाइमिंग बेटा। जय
जय
जिनेन्द्र।
जिनेन्द्र।
Jai Jinan Raja. Let me share my screen now. Give me a second. Okay, there was some confusion as we were starting today. There was another class going on this line, so I don't know if you. I think you guys all joined late, so that's okay. Okay, share sound. I don't think I'll need that, but it's okay. So you all know, right? We are covering Chahdhala. Chahdhala is a 19th century text that was written by Pandit Daulat Ramji, um, fully inspired by our Jain Agams. And this is a text that is organized uh, into six dhals or six different chapters. Each chapter is sometime referred to as a dhal, or in other words, a shield against the voices of the world. Or in other sense, a dhal also signifies the meter on which a particular poem is recited or is a meter that a poem follows, right? So that's what a dhal also means. So that's what we have been covering. Let's start with the Mangalacharan. Every time we start a Swadhyay, a Shastra, we always have to recite Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan uh, is the first stanza of any Shastra, and it is a expression of humility towards towards the Panch Parameshti, or the concept that the writer uh, wanted to bow down to before starting compiling that perspective, that particular shastra, right? So several Acharya and Pandits have dedicated their Shastra to a particular Tirthankar Bhagwan or Arihant Bhagwan or Siddha Bhagwan, or to a particular Acharya. In this particular case, Pandit Daulat Ramji, the writer of this particular Chahdhala, dedicated this Mangalacharan to the science of attaining moksha, to the science that the to the science of Vitragta, that will take us to guides us on the path of salvation, on the path of moksha, and helps us in attaining Shiv Swarup Shivkar, that is moksha avastha or moksha gati. है ना? So that's a very interesting, right? So rather than dedicating to it to a particular human being or a particular higher being or a mukt jeev like Arhant and particular Siddh Bhagwans, rather Panditji decided to dedicate this Shastra to the science that will take us on that path, right? So it's very interesting and very unique in some sense. Okay, Jai Jinendra Hui. Okay, so let's recite this, right? So the way it goes, the meter at which we recite it is तीन भुवन में सार वीतराग विज्ञानता शिव स्वरूप शिवकार नमहु त्रियोग संहारिके. Now, what does that mean, right? We keep covering, going back to this and covering this. What it means is, in these three uh, parts of the Lokakash, the three bhuvans of the Lokakash, the upper worlds, the middle worlds, and the lower worlds. Uh, One thing that summarizes all the knowledge is the science of Vitrag Vigyanta, the science of Vitrag Avastha, of gaining Vitrag Avastha, and that is the one that shows us the light, that is the one that shows us the Shivpat or the path to moksha. And I bow down, I Pandit Daulat Ramji bow down to that science of Vitragta with complete sync of my Triyog. What is Triyog? My Man, my Vachan, my Kai. That is my mind, my Man, that is my vachan, my words, my speech, and my kai, my bodily actions. With the in complete sync of all these three things, I am bowing down to the science of Vitragta, or the science, the knowledge that will take me on this path, on this journey, और guide me on this path, on this journey. ठीक है? तो इससे हम स्टार्ट करते हैं। अब एक थोड़ा सा रिवीजन करते हैं। रिमेंबर, we are doing the first dhala. First dhal is kind of very depressive because all it talks about is pain and suffering that sansari jeeves have to go through across the different gatis that they are born with, right? So there are four gatis as classified, and in all those four gatis, whether it is मनुष्य गति, whether it is तिर्यंच गति, मनुष्य गति, नरक गति, or देव गति, in all these four gatis there is one or other type of sorrow, right? There is pain and suffering. It's manifested in different ways, but it is there, है ना? And we were going through each one of them one by one. Now we started, if you remember, we started with the description of the Tiryanch Gati, which is basically the animal world, or the plant and animal world, starting with Sthavar Jeeves, who are the immobile Jeev, who cannot move on their own volition. And Sthavar Jeeves, in particular, the worst form of Sthavar Jeev is Nigodya Jeev. And the way the Panditji started his this journey is, he expressed that on at an aggregate level, if we take an aggregate across all the jeeves, and all the lives that those jeeves have lived in the past, then it will come out that majority of time they have spent in Nigodya Gati, right? And Nikodya Gati is such a bad Gati that whoever is born in that Gati, there is there is almost next to zero chances of them coming out of that Gati. And it is by sheer coincidence that a particular Jeev moves out of the Nigodya Gati and gets born into a Sthavar Gati, that is either other Sthavar Gatis, that is uh, पृथ्वी कायिक, जल कायिक, वायु कायिक और अग्नि कायिक जीव, और अदर वनस्पति कायिक जीव. And even there is so much of pain because there is no control. There is very little expression or manifestation of the gyan and darshan of the atma out altogether. There is no ability of cognition or learning ability present whatsoever, right? So with that said, that gati in itself is not any better, and it is a rarity. It's the rarest of rare situation when a jeev potentially will come out of Nigodya Gati into Sthavar Gati. And then from Sthavar Gati to the Vikalendriya Gati, that is from the two senses to the four senses, right? From to get out of the one sense organism form of Sthavar Jeev to even to the two indriya, three indriya, and four indriya Gati is is also rare, right? And even when a jeev reaches that gati, they have to go through a lot of pain and sorrow. This is the life of Ali, Peeper, and Brahmar, like the various type of lower form of jeeves, like earth form, or other type of bugs and worms, right? Butterflies and whatnot. Even when jeeves are born as that, there is no it's not a better life. They are subjected to a lot of tortures of birth and death and sustenance of life, right? They live in their own puke and their own vomit, like in case of honeybees, right? And they have to their life is full of a lot of hard work and a lot of running behind to gain food, right? Then from that, a jeev potentially rises up out, once their ayugati is over, into a panchendri jeev. There again, not everyone has the luxury of being born in with cognitive abilities. Most of the time, they are just born as asangi panchendri jeevs, and then they become birds, they become the animals of prey, right? They get killed by other animals or they get domesticated and whatnot. If for that matter, when even they are born with Sangi Panchendri, they may be born as birds and beasts of prey, birds or animals of prey, and get eaten by the other beastly beings. Or they may get born as cruel beings like the predators themselves, and all their life would go in get wasted in running behind food, trying to gain food, making exhibiting deceitful behavior to catch hold of their prey and then kill them, right? So their life is all full of acts of violence, of kashai, basically high on kashai. Now, when such a jeev, either born as a domesticated animal who is subjected to lot of labor, or get born as a bird or animal of prey, uh, at times what happens is they get subjected to get violent activities by the predators. And while those violent activities are happening against these jeeves, these weak jeeves that get dominated, uh, many a time these jeeves die with high intensity kashai, high intensity of either anger, pride, deceit, or greed, or fear, right? And when a particular jeev dies, irrespective of whether it is a Panchendri jeev of Asangi type or Sangi type, when a jeev dies with such high intensity of Kashai, the only Ayu Bandh or the Gati Bandh that they will have is the Gati Bandh of hell, राइट? नारकी जीव है ना? तो सोचो क्या जर्नी है। एक जीव है, वो नगोदिया अवस्था से स्टार्ट होता है, गेट्स इनटू द स्थावर अवस्था. From there it gets to Vikalendriya, 2 to 4 senses organ, like as 2 to 4, the soul gets the 2 to 4 uh, senses type of Jeev Avastha. From there, they get into either a Sanghi Panchendriya Jeev type of Avastha, and from there, they may get a Sanghi Panchendriya Avastha. But if they get Sanghi Panchendriya Avastha, like let's say a buffalo or an elephant or a tiger, it is no good. Because even if they are born in those avasthas, and if let's say they get subjected to these acts of heinous acts of violence, then many a time these jeeves will die with intense, very high intense kashai. And when a jeev dies with a high intense kashai, or when their ayubandh happens while they are having expressing high intensity kashai, which is also called as sanklesh, then the type of gati bandh they will have is narki gati. So the trajectory is like starting with Nigodia and ending with narki gati. है ना? No good. There is pain everywhere. So today what we are going to do is, I did gave a quick summary of 1 to 8 Strenja actually. 7 and Strenja's revision is given here, but I kind of with a broad stroke covered all the previous Strenja. Today we are going to cover Strenja 9 and 10. Now, Stranja 9 and 10 are actually dedicated to the different pains and sufferings that a jeev has to go through while they are born in Narak Gati. Remember, last time we also covered about little bit about a slicker of the organization of Narak, right? Narak is the lower lands, like, or lower bhumis, lower universes. In other word, we call them the seven Narak bhumis or seven Nethar bhumis. है ना? They are seven of them, and the type of bhumi, the conditions of life kind of goes down from one to the next to the next to the next. That's how it goes down, है ना? तो सबसे ऊपर वाली जो नर्क भूमि है उसमें थोड़ी लाइट होती है, एंड स्टिल देयर इज लेस डेंसिटी एंड लेस प्रेशर. But as one goes to the lower narak gati or narak bhumi, sorry, the conditions actually goes, they aggravate, they go towards worst, right? And the pressure increases, the density increases, the type of atrocities that a narki jeev has to go through, they all basically get more and more difficult. So difficulty level actually increases. ठीक है ना? अच्छा, दूसरी चीज, नर्क, every नर्क लोक is organized into patals or panels. Think of it like a hotel with different floors, and in each panels there are different type of bills. Bills are nothing but the places of residence and work for Narkijeev. In other words, that is where a Narkijeev is born, and then they live it out there, and they are basically subjected to different type of pains and sorrows while they are living in those bills, right? So there are different type of bills and everything. That is what we covered in the last class also. Okay. So with that said, let me jump on to the topic for today. Before we start, let's do a quick conversation. So today, since we have good number of people, let's see. Okay. So Sarthak, uh, if you can play the role of real me, and Arham, please play the role of mixed me. Can you do that? So mixed me is on the boy. Okay. So Arham, you have to start first and then follow the number sequence. है ना? So Arham, go ahead.
I have heard that in Iraq one has to suffer a lot. How much?
Sarthak.
Which one do I have to say?
Two.
The number two?
Follow the sequence.
Do you
Follow
remember the
the
sting of a
sequence.
bee?
So there is a sequence number there, right? Sarthak.
Yeah.
One, two. Follow. You have to say two. Number two.
Do you remember the sting of a bee?
Yes, I was stung once, but it was very painful.
So just imagine how much more painful it would be if thousands of bees sting you together.
Yes. Okay, by the way, so that's just a act we played, but how many of you have been basically stung by a bee? Any one of you? Raise your hands if any of you have been stung by a bee. None of you? Okay, my hand is already raised because I gave the signal. By the way, I didn't got stung by a bee, but I got stung by a scorpion, and the pain was very intense. It like my body went numb right away, and it stayed in that state for 48 hours, exact 48 hours. It was no good. For that matter, I could even feel when I was drinking water, because that, water flowing through my, like, right on my tongue, and then going down my throat all the way through esophagus to my stomach, I could feel everything, because of that numbness. It was very painful. I got bitten in the late in the night, and when you get bitten by scorpion, nothing happens. They do nothing in Arizona. I mean, because it's so common. People get bitten by scorpions every now and then, and it's like, it's not. It shall pass kind of situation. Anyways, it was bad. It was very bad, and especially if you get bitten by a very tiny baby scorpion, that is much dangerous, because those baby scorpions don't even know how much of poison to put in you, in the body of the prey. Uh, they don't have any control on that, right? So again, they are. I think scorpions are what, two or three sense organisms. They don't have any sense of cognition and learning ability. So, anyways, so that said, now think of a situation where, if what if thousand such scorpions bit you in this at the same time? Now, why is that reference given here? Because that is the amount of pain a Narki Gati Jeev has to go through every moment of their life. Right from when they are born, they are subjected to pain and suffering. And every moment they live there, have to go through that pain, that kind of pain, and beyond, right? So we'll cover these. It's kind of, it can get very depressing and gross at the same time, but next few strangers are like that. The life in Narakgati is perhaps the worst form of life. And why do a jeev go there? Because they must have done sanklesh, है ना? When they were their ayugati bandh was happening in the past life, they might have done Sanklesh, very high intensity of Kashaya, and that results into Narak Gati Jeev. So be mindful of that. The lesson out here is one should be mindful of not doing such kind of Sanklesh, right? The high intensity Kashaya, any time in during their day. So that's it, right? So let's go through next slide. Okay, next slide. Let's continue. So Arham, you want to continue with the mixed me?
Yeah. Oh no, I do not even imagine the pain.
Sarthak beta.
Yeah, yes, the reality of Narak is even worse than that. Please listen carefully, as it is important to understand, so that you do not do any such
Karm.
karm that will take you to Narak.
Okay. Okay. Just completion. Okay. So now let's start the description of Narak beyond the hotel analogy that we used last time, right? Hotel analogy still feels like it's a cool place to live in, right? A resort with hotels like rooms of different type, and Prakirnak bill being the presidential suite and not whatnot, right? So that's not the impression you I want you to go away with. Let's talk about the Stranger number 9, which is where what is being described here is the description of the soil and rivers of the Narak. So, oh yes, of course, Narak has rivers. Oh wow, and Narak has a type of soil. Isn't that cool? Let's see what that is all about, right? So let me recite it first. तहाँ भूमि पर सत दुख इसो बिच्छु सहस डसे नहीं तिसो तहाँ राध क्षोणित वाहिनी क्रमिकुल कलित देह दाहिनी. Okay, so what does that say? What it says is in Narakati, in Narak Loks, right? So when I'm saying Narak Loks, think of it, it's a plural, right? So we are talking about the seven bhumis, the seven lower Narak bhumis. And as I mentioned, the pain and suffering in one bhumi is higher than the previous one in the order, right? So the first narak, the highermost narak, has probably, relatively speaking, the least suffering and pain and living conditions. But that those conditions kind of deteriorate as you go from 1 to 7. Okay, so all the concept, everything that we are talking about here applies to these different narak bhumis in different you know, on a scale varying as per the Narak Bhumi. Okay, so with that said, right, so what this Stranja 9 talks about is uh, there is soil and there is a surface in Narak Bhumi, but the surface is like that the mere touch of that surface in the hell causes pain as good as 1,000 scorpions stinging somebody together. That much of pain. It is 1,000x time that of a single scorpion bite. Okay, so since I have gone through that single scorpion bite, I can relate to it. I don't want to go through that suffering for sure. And yes, there flows rivers. These rivers are full of pus and blood. There is no cool water there, right? If you may not want to bathe in that water. It's not holy Ganges flowing out there. Okay, it is river full of pus and blood with swarms of worms, and all these things cause burning of body. As soon as a body touches that soil, that surface, it causes pain equivalent to 1,000 scorpions biting together. And how often a narki jeev touches this surface? As soon as they are born, right? So that is what we'll cover in the next Stranja. Okay, how are they born? Are they born out of a mother, or is there an artificial sort of a process through which they are born? Right. So frankly, when I read these again and again, it doesn't leave me with good feelings. Definitely not. And I have seen a few sci-fis, and I've seen uh, some some expression of these narak bhumis out there, right? How people how they the those I will not call them human beings, but the Gati Jeeves in those sci-fis are born, right? They are born in some kind of test tubes. And when they describe those, it feels like they are describing Narak Gati as described by Pandit Daulat Ramji in Chahdhala. And oh, by the way, Pandit Daulat Ramji didn't invent these concepts by himself, or basically he was a Swadhyay reader of the Jaina Agams. So he learned all these things during his practice of Jainism, during his process of going through the scriptures of Jainism. Okay, so that's it, right? So this is what Nine Strangia is about. Okay, three important characteristics, amazing characteristics. Arham surely would like to go there. One is sting of thousand scorpions, right, Arham? You would love it, right? And of course, Sarthak would like to swim in the river full of pus, blood, and swamp of worms around it. Yes, right. And Arush always enjoys the burning sensation, right, Arush? है ना? No, we don't, right? It's no good life. It's worst type of life, right? So most important thing is avoid doing any kind of sanklesh, right? So now let's talk about how and where Narki jeeves are born. Oh, they are not born in the womb of a mother, nor in an eggshell. Okay, nor like they are not even born like tadpoles, or we can say they are born in a place called as Utpad Sthan. Now Utpad Sthan is like, think of it, it's like a a object, it's like a chamber, which is hanging upside down on the roof of every bill. Remember, bills are those rooms, those places, amazing places of residence for Narki Jeeves, right? Where these Narki Jeeves get all the comfort of five-star treatment of Narak, right? The hotel Narak Loks, right? In there, in those on the roof, there are these hanging Utpad sthans hanging upside down. These are sort of semi-spherical box-like structures, and they are filled with, oh, sorry, these structures are filled with sharp blades, amazing, cool, and foul smell. Okay, whose lids open upside down. So they are sort of upside down. So they are hanging from the top, and the lid opens from the bottom. And within, so this is not like a womb of mom, right? With lot of coziness out there. It's not neither a great place, but compared to that, if you compare a mom's womb with Naragati, mom's womb will appear as a five-star place, a five-star hotel. It would appear like amazing place. Although there is a lot of congestion and suffering even in a mom's womb, a human mom's womb, right? So compared to that, now think of it. This small box, it's as rigid like a box. It's not flexible mom's womb, and this semicircular spherical box is filled with sharp blade-like structures. So as soon as a Narki jeev is incepted there, this Narki jeev is subjected to cutting through by these blades, and of course there is a lot of foul smell out there. Then one other thing, so when they right away they reach the maturity of adulthood. There is no evolution of a life as it happens with human beings and other animals, like babies to toddlers to a young kid to likewise. Nothing happens right away. As soon as they are born, they take the shape of a adult Narki jeev, and as soon as that happens, they get dropped from that. The lid opens and they fall down, and as soon as they fall down, they touch the surface of hell. And what happens when they touch the surface of hell? They get that amazing experience of thousand scorpions biting them to all together. है ना? ये होता है This is the process of birth in नरक, basically. है ना? After birth, narki of narki, between these are adverse circumstances, the lid gets open and narki jeep falls, as I mentioned, right? It is very poisonous, due to which narki jeep. So what happens when they get fall on the surface of the narak, right, right away they jump off because there is so much of sting out there. Just the touch of that surface is such stingy that due to pain they jump off, you know, and they keep jumping on on this several times, you know, before they get used to it, and they keep bouncing up and down due to severe pain experienced for about 48 minutes. They keep doing that for 48 minutes. When they are born, they don't have the most beautiful of the bodies, the handsome, they are not no handsomest characters, right? Their body form is such that it would appear like a very old geriatric person with ugly, with lot of ugliness, wrinkles, sick and unfavored body. They have vacraic body, their body is deformed, right? Their body is not of well structure, it's all deformed, है ना? अच्छा, एक और इसकी इसकी बॉडी की बहुत सारी और अमेजिंग कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होती है, वो हम आगे पढ़ेंगे, है ना? और वहाँ पर बिल्स में क्या होता है, टॉर्चर चेम्बर्स होते हैं, एंड इन ऑल दोज टॉर्चर चेम्बर्स ऑल दे गो थ्रू इज डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ पेन्स एंड सफरिंग्स एज पर देयर पास्ट कर्मा. So their past bad karma are all coming to fruition out there when somebody is born in Naragati. Okay. Any question, beta, so far? Okay. Now, so now let's jump on to the next conversation. Arham.
That sounds awful. Are there trees and leaves in Narok? If yes, how are they?
There are no trees, river, or any type of vegetation. Narkies make various forms and shapes to torture other narkies, like become trees with sharp leaves to cut you through.
Oh no, so bad and so painful.
Yeah. So, slight correction. There are rivers out there. We just covered them, Veterni rivers, but those rivers are full of pus and blood. So what is meant here is there are no rivers or trees like what we have in our earth, right? Because trees and rivers are giver of life, isn't it? है ना? There is civilization around rivers. River water is used for farming. River water is used for transportation. It gives you, if nothing, it gives you the comfort of bathing, right? Similarly, trees give you all the fruits. It gives you the shade and oxygen for that matter, right? So what we are saying here is there is no tree as we have trees on the earth, right, on our middle world, in particular in our earth, right? Rather, what happens there is a construct of tree. It is like a tree look alike, but in reality those are no trees. They are like, there are these other narky jeeves who to torture other narky jeeves, or there are a different type of lower devs who have this duty of causing the suffering and pain. They take the shape of these trees, and these trees have blade like leaves. So these leaves are not like leaves that will be soft and tender that you can just massage your skin with. They are actually like steel blades. So as soon as they touch a body, it surely cuts the body, है ना? So that's the purpose of the trees or tree like things in the Naraklok. That's what we'll cover in a bit, next year. Okay. So the next stanza actually talks about these trees are, by the way, they have a name. They are called as semal trees, uh, and semer trees or semal trees. And also in this stanza we are going to cover the sufferings of the hot and cold environment of Narak. So different Narak have different type of air conditioning temperatures, right? So some Naraks are very cold, some Naraks are very hot, very conducive environment. You'll be so comfortable out there, Arham. You'd love it out there. No? Okay. Okay. So let's read this. सेमर तरुदल जुत असी पत्र असी जो देह विदारे तत्र मेरु समान लोह गरि जाए ऐसी शीत उष्णता थाय. Now, right, so what they are describing here is two concepts. One is this concept of semer trees, as was covered, and then later they are talking about the type of temperature in these Narakloks. So I'll give another reference in when we talk about the temperature. So first let's cover the Semar Tarus. So what are Semar Tarus, as we covered, right? In the hell exist Semar trees with leaves having edges like sharp blades of sword. Such leaves tears the body of inhabitants as soon as it touches it, right? That's what Semar trees are all about. Also, we have these seven Narak Bhumis, right? Each Narak Bhumi is set at a different temperature scale. Okay, and these scales are extremes. So either they are super hot or they are super cold, right? So think of these situations where either you are living on Mars or some planet like Jupiter, where which is all gaseous or in a molten state, right? Nothing can survive out there. Temperatures, unimaginable temperatures like 2000, 3000 degrees centigrades, right? Or they are as cold as closest to 0 degree Kelvin, राइट एब्सोल्यूट जीरो दैट इज इस तरह का टेम्परेचर वेरिएशन होता है वहां पर, है ना. द क्लाइमेट इन हेल इज सो इंटेंसली हॉट और cold that a lump of iron as big as Mount Sumeru may get melt right away, right? It's again it's a comparative reference, right? If somebody takes a lump of iron, solid iron, as big as a Mount Sumeru, which is like the largest mountain in on the middle world, the centermost point of the middle world, even that mountain of iron will melt in fraction of seconds. It's so hot out there, right? 5000, 6000, unimaginable higher degree of temperature, right? Similarly, in the lower part of Naraks, the temperature is completely opposite. It is so cold, right, that nobody can even survive out there. Okay, so yeah, so three things that will talked about here. One is Narki. So I told you, right, that Narki Jeeves have a very deformed body. They have what is called as a Vakrek Sharir. Now, Vakrek Sharir may sound very interesting because they can change shape, है ना? And that may sound like a amazing property or amazing supernatural capability, but that's no good because what keeps happening with their body is it's aprithik Vakrek, that is into this body transforms into deadly weapons or trees or terrified trees or bloody rivers and poisonous insects and whatnot. And these forms are taken by these aprithik vikri jeeves to cause to instill fear and and sadness in other narki jeeves, right? So that's why they do it, and a lot of pain they cause with that. And then there is the prithik vikriya. So what happens is a narki jeev, when they are born, right, they get cut into thousand pieces by these swords and these trees and these leaves, these artificial kind of leaves, right? They get cut. They don't die. They just get cut into multiple pieces and then they join back together. And this keeps happening. So every time a narki jeev is cut into half, it's not like they die. They go through that suffering and then their body kind of comes lumps back and joins together and takes some a deformed shape, and then they have to go through that process again, right? So this continues until all the bad karmas are over, right? So after getting cut into these pieces, Vekric body again unites like mercury, right? You separate it, it will come together, form together, move together, and then again go through the process. ओके दूसरी चीज जो हमने पढ़ी वो क्या है, नरक में कंपोजिशन क्या होता है कि जैसे 7 नरक की बात होती है ना बेटा. सो द अपर मोस्ट, द फर्स्ट नरक से लेकर the two-third part of the fifth narak are hot naraks, right? This is where the temperature is of that type, where if a lump of size of Mount Sumeru, even that lump will completely melt in fraction of seconds. And the other lower parts of narak, starting from the one-third of fifth narak all the way to seventh naraks, are cold, very cold, like approaching 0 degree Kelvin, right? So too much of cold or too much of hot heat is out there. ठीक है ना। अब ये एक सुमेरु पर्वत का रेफरेंस ये दिया है बेटा कि सुमेरु पर्वत इज द सेंटर ऑफ द मिडिल वर्ल्ड, राइट, एज पर जैन geography, as per Jain Agam, and this is the tallest mountain which reaches the almost touches. It does not touch exactly, but it almost touches the lowest of the Swargloks. है ना? So this is what a Sumeru Parvat is called. Its full name is Sudarshan Meru, and then there is some description of its width and its um, size, basically its height. Okay, so that's what it is. It's just for reference how large it is basically, है ना। तो ये बात है। तो अब सोच लो, नर्क किस किस को जाना है, हाथ खड़े कर दो। मैं आपको ट्रिक्स एंड ट्रेड्स बता दूंगा। उदयन, आरोही, यू ऑल वांट टू गो टू नर्क? आरुष, वी कैन डेफिनेटली मेक रिजर्वेशंस आउट देयर फॉर लॉन्ग वीकेंड। हाँ आरुष, इस बार नर्क ही चले जाते हैं। क्यों? थैंक्स गिविंग ब्रेक पे इतनी अच्छी होटल है। नहीं,
नहीं।
नहीं, वहां पे मॉम डैड भी नहीं होते। नो बडी टू नैग यू। उदयन, isn't that cool? Right? No mom, no concept of mom out there. There is just that Utpad Sthan. Nahi? Acha. No, that's good, right? We should know, we should be with complete mindfulness, with the complete synchronity of our three yogs of Man, Vachan, and Kai. We should always pray that we should never get Narak Gati again. And the way we could ensure that we never get Naragati is by not doing Sanklesh, never exhibiting high intensity Kashai, not getting super angry and hate filled, not getting super deceitful, not getting super egoistical, not getting super, greedy. है ना? Aram, you have raised hand. Go ahead, beta.
How long is a yojan?
Yojan is very large unit, beta. Give me a second. It's a good question. Let me give you that. एक मिनट देना, मैं भूल जाता हूँ, but it's a very large unit of distance basically. It is, give me a second. Let's search. Okay, I have a dictionary which I refer, so we will do that together. But only thing is you will have to know how to type Hindi in that. Okay, so let's see. Yojan. It's a unit of distance, है ना? Okay. क्षेत्र का 8,000 दंड प्रमाणित प्रमाण. Okay, so this is kind of very. So one कोश is 8 mile. Okay, give me a second. अब हम इसको लेके जाते हैं चैट जीपीटी पे, ठीक है ना, टू ट्रांसलेट इट फॉर यू गाइस. ओके, दैट्स हाउ आई डू इट. Wait. This is the power of chat gpt, by the way, guys. I do this to show you what all you can do with chat gpt. And I do this and I say English. The area measuring 8,000 dund in extent is, okay, this corresponds to 2,000 kosh, okay, or kos, okay. Now let's see, one kos in, I think it's in miles, is 8 miles or something, but let me correct, yeah, 2.25 mile. Okay, one kos is 2 point, so yes. So 2,000 kos, so it's about 4,500 miles. One yojan is 4,500 miles. Make sense? So now in this, what is given here? What is given here? It is 1,000 yojan, right? So it is 4, what? 4,000, yeah. So what would this be? What would this be? 4.5 million, right? है ना? कहाँ गए बच्चे? एक मिनट रुको।
I don't think it was 1,000.
है बेटा? या इट इज 1000, इट सेज 1000, लुक एट दिस. 1000 yojan is it's 1000 yojan below and nine, oh sorry, yeah, so and 99,000 yojan above ground level, so in technically it is 100,000 yojan tall, है ना? Its peak is 40 yojan high, and then yeah, so rather its size is like that. So it's 100,000 actually. So you can multiply 4,500 with 100,000. That large is a Sumeru or Sudarshan Meru basically. Make sense? Okay. So where were we? Huh. Make sense, beta? I. Oh wait, did I stop? Is my screen still shared? Cannot see the kids. Okay, wait, beta. I think I
Yeah, it's
proved.
shared.
Okay, sorry. I wasn't sure because I'm playing with toggling between the screens and I'm getting confused. है ना? So sorry, what was your question? It is actually 100,000 yojan, है ना? So 100,000 yojan multiplied by 4,500 miles. That that large is a Sumeru Parvat. The size of Sumeru Parvat. Make sense? Okay. So now let's go to the last part of our exercise today, which is a act of contemplation. Okay. So I kind of took you there. है ना? एक मिनट रुको, मैं इसको सब, I have too many distractions on my screen, so let me close them down. Okay, now I can see you all also. So any other question, beta, before we get to the contemplation point? कोई और question? Arham, Arush, Arohi, quiet today? Any questions, beta, Arohi?
No,
Is Narak
I don't have any
is
questions.
Narak sounding very appealing to you? Arohi? I cannot see you, so I don't know if you are listening to me
No,
or not. No?
no,
Come on, it's so cool, right?
no,
Isn't that what they show in anime movies all the time, every time?
uh, not
No,
really.
my kids watch a lot of anime movie and I cannot bear them because at times they describe, they define, they show such things which give me an idea of Narak Loks, as I have read them in our Shastraji. So I don't know. I don't find them entertaining enough. But anyways, that's me. Different generation, right? So let's get to the चिंतन. So अभी चिंतन क्या है? अभी सबसे coolest चिंतन है ना? Since you all are inspired by Narak Gati, right? And all the different great things that, high temperature and low temperature and everything, right? Imagine yourself in the body of a Narki being and share the experiences of the pain you would have to go through in 5 statements. Udayan, now you know all about Narak Gati, right? Think of yourself as Narak Gati Jeev. Udayan, already thinking about Narak Gati? I think he's already, dreaming about
Yes.
Naragati. Yes, okay, good. ठीक है. So this is your assignment also. Sorry, beta. Give me a second. Am I audible to you now? Is still audible to you? Okay, don't know, some
Yes.
connection glitch happened. So all in all, what I was saying is just complete this assignment. Okay, imagine yourself as a Naragati Jeev, as somebody born with Narak. Although I do not expect you to ever be born in Naragati Jeev, right? You have been blessed with a human life, a precious human life, born in a very good human Jain family, a practicing Jain family, and kids who have the luxury of best of going enjoying best of both worlds, right? While you live in America, you are also practicing Jains, proud Jains. So I don't ever can imagine that you will ever be born in Naragati again. However, we should always be mindful of our own conduct, right? Because now we know what could lead to Naragati. है ना? That high intensity of Kashay is something that can lead to Naragati. So any transaction that you are having with anybody your age or or elders, younger ones, you should always be mindful of that. Okay, I'll leave you with that thought, right? Never be mindful of and avoid doing Sanklesh, because Sanklesh happening when Ayugati Bandh is happening leads to Naragati. है ना? And we don't know when Ayugati Bandh is happening. It happens multiple times in a human being's life form, right? The last opportunity is when they are just about to die. That's when Ayugati Bandh happens. है ना? But even before that, Ayugati Bandh happens multiple times in a life form for while somebody is in human gati. So we should always be mindful of this fact and try to completely eliminate and avoid Sankleshi Bhav. ठीक है? I leave you with that thought. Let's do Jinwani Stuti and end the class today. I have one last thought before we do that. Beta, just be remind your parents, discuss this with your parents. We are going to have on 18th of January, which is about 2 months out, we are going to have a function, a celebration of our anniversary celebration for Pramanik Pathshala. And since we all are doing this, learning on Chahdhala, there is an opportunity where you can recite one or many of the stanzas from Chahdhala in the proper, melodic voice. So it may require you to practice it and memorize it as possible with help from your parents. Discuss it with your parents. And I would like each one of you to learn one or two of these stanzas, come prepared and probably present during that anniversary function on 18th January. Mark the date. Okay, and have this discussion please with your parents, है ना? They should already know, because several communications have gone out via the WhatsApp group and other channels. But I would like you also to discuss this, right? It would just take you uh, memorize one or two stringa in the right, on the right meter, and in the right with right pronunciations. ठीक है? With that, let's do Jinwani Stuti and we'll end Pathshala today. जावाणी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, तेवाणी मस्तक धरूं देहूं सदा धोक। हे जिनवाणी भारती माँ, तो हे जपूं दिन रैन, जो तेरी शरणा गए माँ, सो पावें सुख चैन। उत्तम क्षमा बच्चों, मिच्छामी दुक्कडम। सी यू नेक्स्ट टाइम।
क्षमा क्षमा।
जय जिनेन्द्र बच्चों।
Jai
उत्तम
Sneha.
जय
Uttam.
जिनेन्द्र जय।